Daryl, hello.
Hello, boys.
Daryl is brought to you by
Chive & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
It's wonderful to talk to you, Daryl. Daryl, you might have heard Baker Mayfield's snippet of audio over the weekend. Did you or did you not?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know, one, would you bring him back? But I guess I got to ask, I think we're getting texts from the boss right now, and I think he's absolutely crazy. Well, Ken, Jimmy said that he needed an adult in the room by the time it was done. I go, he also said that Deshaun Watson was a swing and a miss. Like, I don't think any of that matters. I don't. I think that if they feel that this is the best opportunity, they could just go, oh, it's just business and try to work something out. But real quick, your thoughts on Baker before we move into things that are actually realistic in 2026.
Yeah, I don't think the Browns would want him back.
Really?
No.
Of all the people they've been willing to take chances on, they're not going to take Baker back.
I think they had enough of the Baker Mayfield experience. That's why he's not here.
Now, was that the old Baker Mayfield experience? Because it seems
hasn't he matured?
It seems that Baker's a little different from the old Baker.
Oh, really? Did you heard the comments? Does that sound like a new Baker to you?
Well, wait a minute. You're talking about life-changing money. He's being honest. He said he wants to raise his kids in Tampa. That sounds a lot different from old Baker. Old Baker didn't have kids.
Okay. Guess you can't raise your kids on $40 million a year. The economy's pretty tough.
Okay, Latrell Sprewell. Relax over there.
I get it. He wants his market value, and the pay scale for quarterbacks is what the pay scale for quarterbacks is. Even though I think it's insane, but
is what it is.
It is what it is. But yeah, I think that I don't think that the Browns enjoyed their first Baker Mayfield experience, and I don't know that they'd want to go down that path again. I think that's the way I'm going to put it, because it was not enjoyable for a lot of folks that tried to help him out while he was here and tried to help him mature. So
spicy.
I mean, hey, these are the facts.
All right.
I mean, there's a reason Jimmy Haslam said what he did say about the adult in the room. Now, I get they went to Deshaun Watson, and that was ended up being pretty terrible in and of itself. But I just think that they had their fill of Baker. I did say over I was in with Jeff Phelps on Friday, and I said that I thought Baker Mayfield going to the Pittsburgh Steelers would be delicious.
It really would be. Like, if you think about between these two cities, it would really take like that. We always look at ways to escalate a rivalry.
It's not delicious, no.
Oh, for what we do for a living?
It would be scintillating. Twice a year.
Who's our quarterback?
It'd be great.
Who's our quarterback before we do this? We got to find our quarterback first. You can't just be hoping they get themselves a decent quarterback and we still don't have one.
That's not Sorsby? I thought for sure it was Sorsby.
Well, that's a great way to lead into the conversation. Go right on ahead there,
listen,
Tone.
I don't know that Baker Mayfield is elevating them beyond Aaron Rodgers anyway. That's why I'm not too worried about it. I'm just worried about it twice a year.
Oh, so you just
talking
So you
Daryl.
just don't think Baker's that good?
No, he doesn't.
No. I think Baker just has a ceiling on him. I think he'll help you win anywhere from 10 to 12 games a year. He'll get you into the playoffs. Maybe you win a playoff game or two. I just don't know that Baker Mayfield is the guy that's going to help you go out and win a Super Bowl. I feel like there's a ceiling with him. Now, granted, that is a hell of a lot better than what we're accustomed to dealing with here in Cleveland, but I just feel like there is a ceiling with him, and I don't see him being one of the all-time greats of the era. I don't see him being a top 5 quarterback in the league. I think his ceiling is anywhere from 15, maybe to 10 or 9, in that range, which, again, better than what we've had. But, yeah, I don't know that he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
All right, we saw the injunction not go the way that Brennan Sorsby would have wanted it to for going back to Texas Tech and making $5 million. So the supplemental draft could be the next step. What are your thoughts considering what is out there? There's a lot of speculation too, but what is actually provable right now with his gambling addiction, him going to rehab, and whether or not he should be on the Browns' radar?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with what Todd Monken said a week ago at the Browns Foundation golf outing. I think it's too risky, too much of a gamble, quite frankly. There's a lot to unpack with that, and the Browns I just don't think that the Browns have the luxury of taking that kind of a chance. I really don't. And yeah, that's some PTSD from prior chances that the Browns have taken at that position, but I think we've had enough of that, okay? And can we just get somebody that doesn't have baggage here to do this? So I'm not interested. If I were the Browns, I would not be interested. I know when you're desperate, you do dumb, desperate things. And for me, I think Sorsby is, that just is just too much desperation. And nothing good comes from that.
Daryl, I think I agree with you for most of what you said there. Lyman, you put me through my paces. Do it to Daryl.
Well, I just
Daryl answer the tough question.
Let's say, because the Browns undoubtedly are doing their jobs just like every other team in the league. We know that they have their surplus of third and fourth round picks, whatever. What, they have 4 between those two that they could just throw in a bid and see, and then there's what's the risk there, right? Like if you end up getting a guy that could go top 5 according to some next year, if you get that person in the 3rd round this year, like holy cow, that's a coup, right? You don't think so?
Not if he's not available to you. Look, gambling. Look, you can do a lot of unsavory things in the National Football League as a player off the field, okay, and be allowed to play the sport. You can't gamble.
He's right.
Okay, that's the line. That's the bridge too far. Believe it or not, there is a bridge too far in sports when it comes to player off the field.
Do you think
behavior.
This is by far worse? So you think this is worse than domestic violence? You think this is worse?
Now, don't be putting words in my mouth.
Well, I'm asking. Okay, that's why I'm asking the question. You get to put the words in your own mouth when I ask the question.
I'm just saying the NFL will look the other way with a lot of stuff, and they have looked the other way with a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the penalties for off-the-field behavior, including what you just asked about, they pale in comparison to penalties for gambling. That's the point I'm trying to make. They'll put up with a lot of stuff off the field when it comes to players, and they have over the years. The one thing you can't do is gamble. That is the line too far. As sad as that is, that is the truth.
I mean, it's the one thing that we can think of that you can get banned for life. I mean, good God, we're talking about Henry Ruggs getting parole.
Oh, guys have been accused of murder and been Hall of Famers.
That's what I'm pointing out, though. But that's what Daryl's saying. Like, Daryl personally, obviously, ain't going to think that that's. I thought the question was a little sideways, to be honest with you. But fine, you want to put it through the paces, I told him to. But what Daryl's bringing up is that you look at what the NFL has been willing to not look the other way for, but get past with some of their guys. Gambling in professional sports ain't it. So if, say he does arrive to me and say, we've decided to give up a 2nd-round pick for Brendan Sorsby. How long is he going to be suspended? All right, if he's suspended but he's still around to be in the building, that's fine. Okay, great. So if he's still around to be in the building, that's going to be great. And then he plays for a little bit, and then they find out that he gambled again. Well, what the hell is going to happen if they find out he gambled again after the 2027 draft? Then we're in a hell of a lot of trouble now, aren't we, Tone? It's just not like Daryl.
So you don't think there's any coming back from gambling? You think this is a sickness that is the one sickness you can't overcome? We have rehab for everything, but this is the one thing you can't come back from.
Obviously, I think you can overcome it, but I just think it's too much of a risk. But I'm not the one we're supposed to be interviewing here, and I apologize. Daryl, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Daryl.
I'm sorry.
Here's the thing, right? He says that he got treatment for an addiction, right? And everywhere you look around NFL stadiums and NFL properties and NFL broadcasts, there's gambling ads everywhere now. It's in his face. So I think that's tough for any human being. There is the human element, and when you're talking about addiction, that's a serious thing. Okay, but look what the NFL did to Josh Gordon back in the day. With his substance abuse and addiction, right? And the penalty that he paid for that, okay? And so I think it's just way too risky of a move for a team like the Browns. Had they not gone through what they have gone through at that particular position, ranging anywhere from Johnny Manziel, right, to Deshaun Watson, I'd be a little more open-minded to it and be like, yeah, sure, why not? It's a flyer. If it doesn't work out, no big deal. And if you're talking like a late-round pick, Anthony, all right, I might be a little more willing to listen to it. But when you're talking about a second or a third round pick, no, because those are assets that Andrew Berry is going to need to be able to do what he wants to do next April, and that's move up in the draft to get one of these quarterbacks that are coming out that are just as talented and also don't carry that type of baggage off the field. It's just
Daryl, listen, I'm genuine. Ken says put people through the paces when I question.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a lot more of Brendan Sorsby's over time because this generation has quite literally grown up with it on their phones.
Yeah, I mean, I do acknowledge we live in a different world. And there is, I think, something a little hypocritical when it comes to these leagues bringing in all the gambling revenue, right? But which, by the way, has helped elevate player salaries because that's fresh money, fresh revenue for them. But also at the same time, the players are prohibited from participating in any way, shape, or form in some sports. Some sports, it's just, hey, you can't bet on the league. I'm old enough to remember when the National Football League wouldn't even acknowledge fantasy football. Okay,
He's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
and now here we are. It's the National Football League, brought to you by insert your gambling company name here, right? Or this particular feature is brought to you by this particular gambling company here, right? They have completely embraced it, but I just again with what he's what he's been accused of, what he's gone to therapy for. I just think it's way too risky.
Is there any chance Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders can separate themselves as the starter this week?
It would be nice if one of them would, right?
That'd be something. It'd be great.
Yeah, it would. But, and I've talked about this a lot on my show, on other shows, that it's been consistently inconsistent. You go back and listen to what Todd Monken had to say last week when he was talking about, hey, my opinion changes by the day. And I think that's just because one day Deshaun has the good day. The next day it's Shedeur that has the good day. And then back to Deshaun, back to Shedeur. Maybe they put back-to-back days together. But then you're going back and forth. And I just think that's a byproduct of the inconsistency. And, look, we're only out there for one of the three practices. Now, this week will be for all three, Tuesday through Thursday. But during OTAs, we're seeing one of the three practices each week. So we don't know what's going on the Tuesday or on the Thursday as far as, what the coaches are seeing and whatnot. But it has been inconsistent with what we've seen. We've seen good stuff from Shedeur. We've seen not so good stuff from Shedeur. Same thing with Deshaun. So neither one of these guys has been able to separate themselves. And I think that's what Todd Monken's ultimately looking for. He's looking for some consistency, and he's just not gotten that from either one of these guys. Now, he can stand up there and say he's got two starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm going to disagree with him because I think if you say you got two, you got none. Yes, you have two guys who have started games in the National Football League, but right now they're just wildly inconsistent when you're talking about this time of year where there's very minimal defensive pressure. You're not really under siege. You're not going to be hit, whatever. You're doing some installs and things like that, but this is supposed to be the easy time of the year, right? I mean, for a quarterback, this is the fun time of year where all the passes should be completed relatively easy, but that's not been the case for either one of these guys. But I do think that's exactly what Todd Monken's looking for. He wants somebody to take the reins in this mini camp so that he can move forward in training camp with the number one guy. I just fear that we're going to go into training camp with another one of these dreaded quarterback competitions.
Daryl, I got 30 seconds. Do you think it's been more that Deshaun Watson hasn't elevated himself throughout this process, or is Shedeur elevating himself so much that it's becoming a question now that Shedeur could possibly be the number one quarterback heading into the actual season?
I'm not dodging that, Ken. I think it's both. I think it's a combination of both.
That's fine.
Shedeur's better than he was last year, right? And he's actually getting reps in practice instead of throwing to the ball boys like we saw last year. And then also, too, Deshaun, who's still recovering, shaking off the rust, all those things. He does look physically healthy. He's got that going for him. But there just have been a few moments where you're like, yep, that's the Deshaun Watson that we saw coming off the suspension, coming off the shoulder injury, starting the 2024 season.
Daryl, thank you very much for the time. Blessings to you and yours.
You bet, guys. Have a good one.
The great Daryl Ruiter. Brought to you by
Shibe & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
What's the takeaway you had from that?
Well, obviously, aside from the Sorsby stuff, he says absolutely not on Baker Mayfield. That door is closed.
Well, it's also that maybe we shouldn't be calling it a comeback. Maybe it's something that's naturally going to happen.